Hey everyone, welcome back. Great to see you again, and welcome to our new subscribers. Thank you for joining our channel. Today we're going to be doing Tarte Tatin. That's what it is. Beautiful French pastry dessert. You usually do it with apples, beautiful caramel sauce. Sometimes we do it with bananas. So today we're going to try both of them. However, sometimes they could be tricky caramelizing, the amount of sugar, the amount of butter, and so forth. So the other day I was watching Gordon Ramsay, one of my favorite chefs, and he showed this little technique that actually made it quite easy to make this dessert. One pan, not too much fuzz, put it together on the stove, in the oven, out it comes. So why don't you sit back, let's give it a try. Let me show you how we cook this. All right, we'll start with the peppercorns. We'll start with a bit of Szechuan peppercorns, beautiful citrusy, not overly spicy, a little bit numbing, but beautiful. Put those in the mortar, and then we'll go ahead and grab some black peppercorn. That's going to give it a bit more spice and bitterness to help that caramel balance out. All right, we'll get that into a fine grind, something about like this, and then we'll go ahead and set it aside and get working. Okay, in a small oven-proof saute pan, cold butter, and we'll press it all around the bottom. Let's grab our ground peppercorns and sprinkle them at the bottom. We'll use half at the bottom and half on top of the fruit before we put the pastry on. Now let's grab a vanilla bean, and we're going to go ahead and cut it in half, scrape the inside, put it all around the butter, and we're going to use the actual vanilla bean itself and crisscross it on top of the butter. It'll cook the flavor into the Tarte Tatin, but also it'll be quite beautiful when you pull it out. Let's grab the sugar, and we'll go with about 3 to 4 tablespoons. I think 3 is plenty for the size of pan, and we'll spread it all nicely around the pan to cover the butter and the vanilla completely. Grab your bananas and peel them and cut them. Let's try to cut them the same size, so that way they're nice and neat as we put them in the pan. I ended up using 4 for this recipe. Depends on the size of the banana. Great, now let's start stacking. We'll start from the middle, and we'll work our way around until we complete the pan fully. There'll be some gaps, and we'll fill those gaps up with smaller pieces of bananas in order to the fruit to be nice and tight and snuggle underneath the puff pastry. Great, should look something like that. Perfect. Now let's get our puff pastry. Now we're using store-bought. You can make puff pastry. It's very elaborate and time-consuming. So there's some beautiful brands of puff pastry on the market. Just buy yourself a puff pastry, and use a plate or a lid to cut a circle about the size of the pan that you're using. In my case, it is actually the lid of my pan. Cut around it and pull your circle out. Great, now as I pull it out, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the edges and make them a little thinner so I can tuck it underneath the fruit when I put it in the pan. Try to work quick with the puff pastry. It is a buttered dough, so with your warm hands it will make the puff pastry softer. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put the pastry on top of the fan, and it should cover the pan beautifully. And then with a tablespoon, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and lift a bit of the bananas and tuck the pastry underneath the banana so it keeps everything nice and snug, almost like a blanket. Now that it's ready to go, we're going to go ahead and poke 3 holes in the middle. We'll allow the steam to exit so the way the pastry will cook nicely in that steam. We'll go in the pan on a medium-high, closer to high than medium, and get that butter and sugar going and get it to cook and caramelize. It's usually anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes on a medium-high. You see the steam exiting the puff pastry. If it does puff up, I usually put the knife in and make sure the steam does exit. Once that's done and it looks a bit brown on the sides, we're going to pop it in the oven for 20 minutes at 220 degrees or until it's golden brown like that. Now we put it back on the heat just to be able to loosen up the caramel underneath it and allow us to flip this beautiful dessert over. Use a scraper or a spoon to sort of release the sides when you feel it moving around. I would suggest grab that plate and let's flip it. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Are we lucky? Oh my, that looks delicious. I love that dark caramelization on the bananas. Maybe a little bit darker than I usually do, but they look absolutely delicious. That is your banana tarte tatin. Okay, we're going to move fast now. Butter, peppercorns, vanilla bean, the X Factor, sugar, and off we go. 3 to 4 apples. I use 3 in this recipe. Same 20 centimeter size pan, small oven proof saute pan. Let's get those apple peel as fast as you can. That's 1, and all of a sudden it becomes 4. Don't know how that happens, but it's great. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and cut them in half first. Once we cut them in half, we're going to cut them in quarters, get rid of the middle bit, and then we're going to cut them in quarters again, so they're all about the same size towards the end. Once we get that done, get rid of the rinds, and let's get the pan back out. Let's try this trick. I tried it this morning, it worked. Let's see, 1 out, and that's it. That's the one I want. Perfect. Here the apple. You see how we crowded them all together. Now we're going to grab and top it off with the peppercorns again. So that will give it a great balance and cut to the edges of that caramel. Fantastic. Off we go. In with the puff pastry. Once again, store-bought. Open it up. Lid. Cut on top of the pan after we've squeezed the sides down a little bit. And now, perfect. We go ahead and grab a spoon and we go lift and tuck. Lift and tuck until you go all the way around. It looks a bit like that. Don't forget your holes in the middle to let that steam out, otherwise you'll have steamed pastry. It's horrible. Beautiful. On the stove, medium high. Get it cooking, get the butter melting, the sugar caramelizing. And once you get to the point that it's nice and golden brown on the sides, you're going to pick it up, throw it in the oven, 20 minutes at 200 degrees. When it comes out, pop it back on the burner. Get that heat to loosen up the caramel at the bottom of your pan so that way you can flip it over and it's going to look beautiful because it smells absolutely beautiful. Grab yourself a spoon so you can go ahead and get those sides removed. Make sure everything is nice and loose before you flip it over. Let's see, yep, it's moving, it's smoking. Let's get that plate and flip it over. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, look at that. Apple Tarte Tatin. Okay guys, that was absolutely great. I love making this dessert. The tip from Gordon Ramsay was absolutely fantastic. It made it so much easier, quicker, and neater to make. Absolutely loved it. I know he copied a lot from a lot of YouTubers, but this technique was just absolutely great. Thank you for sharing it with us, and I hope you will enjoy it yourself as I share it with you. Once again, guys, give us those likes if you really like these videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and ring that bell so that way when we post, we can notify you right away. Thank you for all the comments and feedbacks. Keep them coming, and don't forget to tell a friend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.